Adiz was a kind and humble girl who lived in a small African neighborhood. Her family was poor, and their house was simple, made of clay and wood. Even though she did not have many things, Adiz was known in the neighborhood for her warm smile and her generous heart. She always believed that kindness was more valuable than money. Every morning, Adiz would wake up early to help her mother with household chores. After finishing her work, she liked to spend time outside where the neighborhood children played. She enjoyed talking with them, helping them with small problems, and making them laugh. Many people in the neighborhood said that Adiz had a special gift. She could bring happiness to others even on difficult days. One afternoon, while walking through the street, Adiz noticed something strange. A few children were sitting outside their homes, while others were walking toward the school nearby. The children looked sad and quiet. Adiz gently approached them and asked why they were not going to school like the others. One of the boys looked down and explained that they did not have books or notebooks, so they could not attend classes. Hearing this made Adiz feel very sad. She knew that education was very important for their future. That day, Adiz decided that she would try to help them somehow. Even though she did not have money, she believed that with determination and kindness, something good could happen. From that moment, a new journey began for Adiz. A journey that would soon inspire the entire neighborhood and change the lives of many children forever. Although Adiz's family did not have much money, she always believed that happiness came from helping others. Her small home in the neighborhood was simple, but it was always filled with warmth and kindness. People in the community respected her because she never ignored someone who needed help. Adiz especially loved children. Whenever she saw them playing in the dusty streets of the neighborhood, she would stop and talk with them. Sometimes she helped them solve small arguments, and sometimes she simply told them stories that made them smile. The children trusted her and often came to her when they needed advice. Every afternoon, after finishing her chores at home, Adiz would sit outside near the road where many children passed by on their way home from school. She loved hearing them talk about what they had learned in class. They would proudly show their notebooks, drawings, and homework to their friends. But one day, Adiz began to notice something unusual. Not all children were going to school. Some of them stayed behind in the neighborhood, while others walked toward the school building at the end of the street. The children who stayed behind looked disappointed and quiet. Adiz watched them carefully and felt worried. She knew how important education was for a child's future. Without learning, many opportunities in life could be lost. Her heart would not let her ignore the situation. She felt that something had to be done. Even though she was just a young girl without wealth or power, Adiz believed that one person's determination could make a difference. That day, as she looked at the children sitting sadly outside their homes, she quietly promised herself that she would find a way to help them. It was a small promise, but it was the beginning of something very meaningful for the whole. One bright afternoon, Adiz was walking slowly through the dusty streets of her neighborhood. The warm sun shone over the small houses, and the sound of children playing could be heard from every corner. It was a normal day, but something caught Adiz's attention. She noticed a small group of children sitting quietly near one of the houses. Usually, at that time of the day, most children would be on their way to school or already inside their classrooms. But these children were not moving. They were sitting together, looking sad and silent. Adiz felt curious and a little worried. She walked closer to them with a gentle smile and greeted them kindly. The children looked up at her, but their faces still showed sadness. "Why are you not going to school today?" Adiz asked softly. For a moment, none of the children spoke. They looked at each other as if they were unsure who should answer. Finally, one young boy slowly stood up. He looked shy and nervous. The boy explained that many of them could not attend school anymore. Their families were struggling, and they could not afford to buy books, notebooks, or school supplies. Without those things, they felt too embarrassed to sit in the classroom with other students. Hearing this broke Adiz's heart. She could see the disappointment in their eyes. These children wanted to learn, but their situation was stopping them. Adiz stood there quietly, thinking deeply. She knew that education could change a child's life. No child should have to give up their dreams simply because they lacked books. In that moment, Adiz realized something important. Even if she was just one girl in a small neighborhood, she could still try to make a difference. And right there, in the middle of the quiet street, Adiz began to think of a way to help the children return to school. After listening to the children's problem, Adiz could not stop thinking about them. Their sad faces stayed in her mind the entire day. She knew that those children wanted to learn, but they simply did not have the things they needed for school. That evening, while helping her mother at home, Adiz kept thinking about a solution. She did not have money to buy books for them, but she believed that if the whole neighborhood worked together, something could be done. The next morning, Adiz made an important decision. She would speak to the people in her community and ask for their help. With courage in her heart, she started visiting houses in the neighborhood. She politely greeted the neighbors and explained the situation of the children who could not attend school. Adiz told them how important education was and how even small help could make a big difference. At first, some people listened quietly but did not respond. Others said they were too busy or had their own problems to worry about. For a moment, Adiz felt a little disappointed, but she did not give up. She continued walking from house to house, speaking kindly and patiently to everyone she met. Her determination and sincerity slowly began to touch people's hearts. Some neighbors started thinking about what she had said. A few remembered that they had old books or unused notebooks at home. Others began to realize that helping the children could benefit the whole community. Little by little, the idea that Adiz shared started spreading through the neighborhood. Even though the change was slow, Adiz felt hopeful. She believed that if people understood the problem, they would eventually come together to help the children return to school. Adiz continued speaking with her neighbors. More and more people began to understand the importance of helping the children. Some brought old books, pencils, and notebooks that their own children no longer used. Others offered to help clean a small corner of the community center so it could be used as a mini library and study area. Adiz felt a warm happiness in her heart. Even though she had no money of her own, her determination and kindness had inspired the entire neighborhood. She realized that small actions, when combined, could make a huge difference. The children, unaware of all the planning taking place, continued to sit quietly at home, worried that they would never return to school. But Adiz made sure to tell them that help was coming and that they should remain hopeful. On the next morning, the neighbors brought the books and notebooks together. They set up tables, arranged the books neatly, and created a small area where the children could sit and study. The space was simple, but it was full of love and hope. When the children saw what had been done for them, their faces lit up with joy. They could hardly believe that the neighborhood had worked together to help them continue their education. Adiz smiled as she watched their excitement. She encouraged the children to take care of the books and to study hard. "Learning is a treasure," she told them, "and no one can take it away from you." From that day on, the neighborhood became more united. People helped each other not just with school materials, but in many small ways. Adiz's small act of courage and kindness had created a ripple effect, inspiring everyone to care for one another. The children returned to school with bright smiles and hopeful hearts, and Adiz's name became known throughout the neighborhood as the girl who showed that one person's kindness can change many lives. After the mini library was set up, the neighborhood began to feel a new sense of excitement and hope. Children who had been sitting quietly at home were now running through the streets with bright smiles, holding their newly donated books and notebooks. Adiz walked among them, feeling proud and happy that she had made a difference. The parents in the neighborhood also noticed a change. They saw how eager their children had become to learn and realized that education was truly valuable. Some parents even began volunteering to help maintain the library and guide the children while they studied. Every day, after completing her own chores at home, Adiz would go to the small library to check on the children. She would help them with difficult words, encourage them to read aloud, and praise their efforts. Even though she was still young, the children looked up to her as a mentor and a friend. The story of what had happened spread quickly through the neighborhood. Neighbors from nearby areas came to see the mini library and the children studying happily. Everyone was inspired by how one girl's determination had brought an entire community together. Adiz often thought about how simple it was to make a difference. She realized that helping others did not require money, only a kind heart, patience, and courage. She began planning other small projects to continue improving life in the neighborhood, like planting flowers along the streets and helping younger children with their lessons. Through these actions, Adiz's presence brought the neighborhood closer. People began helping one another more frequently, sharing food, advice, and kindness. The children not only learned from their textbooks, but also from Adiz's example of generosity and leadership. By the end of each day, Adiz would sit outside her small home, watching the children laugh and learn. She knew that her small efforts were creating a brighter future for the whole neighborhood, and she felt proud that one girl's courage could inspire so many hearts. Local school teacher heard about the efforts in the neighborhood. Curious, he came to visit the mini library. He was amazed at the children's enthusiasm and the care Adiz had shown. The teacher praised her efforts and suggested that she could inspire other neighborhoods as well. Adiz felt proud but also humble. She never expected such recognition. All she wanted was for the children to have the same opportunities she had always dreamed about. The children, seeing the positive changes in their community, felt motivated to study harder. They started teaching their younger siblings what they had learned and sharing their books and notes. The mini library became a hub of learning, creativity, and collaboration. Adiz's example also inspired her neighbors to think differently. They realized that even small contributions, a book, a notebook, or a few minutes of time, could create a huge impact on someone's life. Every evening, Adiz would sit under the soft golden light of the sunset, looking at the children laughing and studying. She felt joy in her heart, knowing that her small act of kindness had grown into a movement that touched the entire neighborhood. Through her courage, patience, and wisdom, Adiz proved that even one determined girl could bring hope, education, and happiness to an entire community. As months passed, Adiz's neighborhood continued to flourish with the spirit of learning and kindness she had inspired. The small library became a place not only for reading, but also for storytelling, art, and games. Children gathered there after school, sharing their ideas, drawing pictures, and helping each other with homework. The library had become the heart of the neighborhood. Adiz never expected such attention or praise, but the joy she saw in the children's eyes gave her a deep sense of fulfillment. She realized that small acts of compassion, when done consistently, could grow into something much bigger than herself. One day, a visitor from a nearby town came to see the library. He was amazed that a young girl had brought so many people together to help children learn. He took notes and promised to share the story with other communities. Adiz felt proud, but more importantly, she felt that her message of kindness and determination could spread far beyond her neighborhood. Parents also began to appreciate the importance of education more deeply. Many started teaching their children at home, sharing their knowledge, and encouraging them to study hard. The children were no longer afraid to ask questions or make mistakes, knowing that the neighborhood supported them. Adiz continued to visit each child, offering guidance and encouragement. She shared lessons not only from books, but also from life. The value of honesty, patience, and helping others. Through her example, the children learned that kindness and courage could change lives. Evenings in the neighborhood were filled with laughter and conversation. The streets, once quiet and dull, were now alive with the sound of children sharing stories, neighbors helping one another, and a sense of hope and unity that had never existed before. Through her courage and determination, Adiz taught her neighborhood, and eventually surrounding communities, that one person's kindness can inspire an entire village, and that the smallest acts can create a legacy of learning, love, and compassion. As the years passed, Adiz's influence on the neighborhood continued to grow. The small library she had helped create became a central hub where children, parents, and even elders gathered to learn, read, and share knowledge. It was more than just a place to study. It had become a symbol of hope, courage, and community spirit. Adiz had grown a little older, but her heart remained as kind as ever. Every day, she encouraged the children to dream big and to never give up on their education, no matter the challenges. She reminded them that learning was a treasure that no one could ever take away. The parents were amazed at the transformation in their children. They noticed that the children were more confident, more helpful, and eager to share their knowledge. Many adults also joined Adiz in organizing small workshops, storytelling sessions, and art projects for the children. The entire neighborhood had become united in a way it never had before. Visitors from nearby neighborhoods began to hear about Adiz's efforts and came to see the changes for themselves. They were inspired by the story of a young girl who had turned a small act of kindness into a movement that brought an entire community together. Adiz's example showed them that true leadership was not about wealth or power, but about compassion and determination. Through all of this, Adiz never sought fame or reward. Her joy came from seeing the children smile, learning, and helping one another. She understood that even one person, with a kind heart and brave spirit, could change the course of many lives. In the evenings, Adiz would sit outside her small home, watching the neighborhood buzz with laughter, learning, and cooperation. She knew that her actions had created a ripple effect that would inspire generations to come, proving that courage, patience, and kindness were the most valuable lessons of all. The time Adiz had grown into a young teenager, her small neighborhood had transformed completely. The children she had helped were now thriving students, eager to learn and explore the world. The mini library had expanded, with more books, art supplies, and learning materials donated by neighbors and visitors who had heard of her story. Adiz continued to guide the younger children, teaching them lessons not only from books, but also about life, honesty, kindness, and courage. She became a role model for everyone in the neighborhood, showing that age and wealth were never barriers to making a difference. Parents and elders also became more involved, volunteering their time to help the children, repair the library, and organize storytelling sessions. The sense of community grew stronger every day. Neighbors began sharing resources, helping each other with daily chores, and celebrating achievements together. The neighborhood had become a place of learning, unity, and joy. People from nearby towns and villages came to see what had been accomplished. They were amazed that one young girl's determination had inspired so many and transformed an entire community. Adiz's story spread beyond her neighborhood, becoming an example of how one person's actions can create lasting change. Even though many praised her, Adiz remained humble. Her happiness came from the smiles of the children, the laughter in the streets, and the knowledge that her small act of kindness had grown into something much bigger. At the end of each day, as the sun set over the neighborhood, Adiz would sit outside her home and watch the children reading, playing, and learning. She felt proud that she had shown her community that true treasure is not money or possessions, but a kind heart, courage, and the willingness to help others. Through her actions, Adiz taught everyone that even a single person, with determination and compassion, can inspire hope, change lives, and leave a legacy that lasts for generations. The neighborhood continued to thrive. Adiz noticed something remarkable. The children were no longer just learning from books. They were learning from each other. They helped their younger siblings with reading, shared their ideas, and encouraged classmates who struggled. The small library became a center of collaboration and creativity. Adiz felt proud as she watched the children work together. She realized that teaching kindness and cooperation was just as important as teaching reading or writing. The children began to understand that their actions could affect others, and that helping someone else was a form of true strength. Word of Adiz's efforts reached nearby communities. Teachers, parents, and local leaders came to visit the neighborhood and were amazed at the transformation. They had expected a small library, but what they saw was a lively, united community where people genuinely cared for one another. Adiz continued to guide the children, sharing lessons about honesty, patience, and perseverance. She encouraged them to dream big and to always try, even when challenges seemed impossible. The children looked up to her not just as a friend, but as a mentor and a symbol of hope. The parents also learned from Adiz. They saw how small contributions, books, time, or encouragement could create a ripple effect of positive change. Soon, families began helping each other more, sharing resources, and teaching younger generations the importance of kindness and education. Evenings in the neighborhood became a time of joy. Children would read aloud, play educational games, and discuss stories with Adiz. Laughter and learning filled the streets, and the sense of community grew stronger each day. Through her courage, vision, and unwavering kindness, Adiz had done more than help children return to school. She had created a community built on trust, love, and shared purpose. Her story proved that one determined person could inspire an entire neighborhood to become better, stronger, and more compassionate. Over time, Adiz's influence extended beyond just her immediate neighborhood. The children who had once struggled to attend school began excelling in their studies. They were more confident, eager to explore new subjects, and motivated to help one another. The mini library had become a place of inspiration, filled with laughter, learning, and creativity. Adiz often held small storytelling sessions in the library, teaching lessons about honesty, patience, and the importance of helping others. The children listened carefully, not just because of her words, but because they saw her living these values every day. She had become a role model, demonstrating that courage and kindness could truly make a difference. The parents and elders were equally inspired. They began working together to improve the neighborhood, cleaning streets, sharing resources, and supporting one another. Even the smallest acts, like lending a book or helping a child with homework, became meaningful contributions. Adiz had shown them that everyone had the power to make a positive impact. News of Adiz's efforts began to spread to neighboring towns. Visitors came to see the library and the thriving community she had helped create. Teachers and community leaders were amazed at what one young girl had accomplished. Her story became an example of how determination, compassion, and a selfless heart could inspire an entire community. Even as recognition and praise reached her, Adiz remained humble. Her joy came from seeing the children laugh, learn, and grow together. Each evening, as the golden sun set over the neighborhood, she would watch the children studying and playing, knowing that her small acts of kindness had planted seeds that would continue to grow for generations. Through her dedication, Adiz taught everyone an invaluable lesson, that even one person's courage, empathy, and hard work could change the future of an entire community. Her story became a timeless example of hope, unity, and the power of a kind heart. As the children continued to flourish, Adiz realized that her work was far from over. She wanted to ensure that every child in the neighborhood had equal access to learning and opportunities. So she began organizing small workshops in the library, teaching not only reading and writing, but also storytelling, art, and basic problem-solving skills. The children loved these sessions. They would gather around eagerly, sharing ideas and helping one another complete projects. Through these activities, they learned teamwork, creativity, and the value of helping others. Adiz encouraged them to express themselves freely, to ask questions, and to explore their imaginations. Parents and neighbors became more involved as well. Inspired by Adiz's dedication, they volunteered their time and resources to support the workshops. Some shared their knowledge of crafts, farming, or trades, teaching valuable life skills alongside academic learning. The neighborhood slowly became a place where education, creativity, and community spirit thrived together. One day, a teacher from the nearby town visited the library to observe the children. He was amazed at their knowledge, confidence, and collaboration. When he learned that Adiz had inspired this entire transformation, he was even more impressed. He told her that her actions were creating a ripple effect, inspiring not only her own neighborhood, but potentially many others as well. Adiz felt proud but remained humble. She knew that her goal was not recognition, but the happiness and growth of the children. Seeing them read, laugh, and share their skills brought her more joy than any reward ever could. Through her constant guidance and example, Adiz had created a vibrant, nurturing environment for learning. She showed that education and kindness were powerful tools capable of shaping not only children's futures, but the spirit of an entire community. By the evening, as the sun dipped low and golden light filled the neighborhood, Adiz would watch the children happily interacting and learning. She knew that her efforts were creating a lasting legacy of hope, unity, and inspiration. As time passed, the small neighborhood library became the heart of the community. Children arrived early in the mornings, eager to read books, draw pictures, and participate in storytelling sessions led by Adiz. The energy and excitement in the neighborhood had completely changed from what it had been before her efforts began. Adiz noticed that the children were not only learning from books, but also from each other. They shared knowledge, helped their friends with lessons, and encouraged one another to try new things. Through these interactions, they developed confidence, teamwork, and a sense of responsibility. The parents began to take notice of the changes as well. Many joined Adiz in helping maintain the library, teaching children basic skills, and supporting them with schoolwork. The community had become a place where everyone cared for each other, and where education and kindness were valued above all. One afternoon, a visitor from a neighboring town came to see the library. He was amazed that a single young girl had inspired so many people to work together for a greater cause. He praised Adiz for her courage and dedication, explaining that her story could serve as an example for other communities. Despite the praise, Adiz remained humble. She never sought recognition. Her true happiness came from the children's laughter, their growing knowledge, and the harmony she saw in the neighborhood. She understood that the real reward was in seeing others succeed and helping them believe in themselves. Evenings became a special time in the neighborhood. Adiz would sit under the warm glow of the sunset, watching children read, play, and share stories. The neighborhood had transformed into a place of learning, love, and cooperation. Through her unwavering commitment and kind heart, Adiz had taught everyone that even one person's determination could inspire an entire community. Her actions proved that courage, empathy, and dedication could create a legacy that would last for generations. As the neighborhood continued to grow in unity and learning, Adiz realized that the children needed more than just books. They needed guidance, encouragement, and inspiration to dream big. She began organizing small group sessions in the library where children could discuss their dreams, ask questions, and share ideas freely. The children loved these sessions. They would tell Adiz about the careers they wished to pursue, the stories they wanted to write, and the inventions they imagined creating one day. Adiz encouraged them, reminding them that no dream was too small or too big if they worked hard and remained kind-hearted. The parents noticed the impact these sessions had on their children. They observed how confident, motivated, and thoughtful the children had become. Many parents started joining the sessions, offering advice and helping the children with practical skills, from simple arithmetic to storytelling techniques. News of the neighborhood's transformation began to spread. Visitors from nearby towns came to witness the thriving community, amazed that one young girl had inspired such change. Teachers and community leaders praised Adiz for her courage, vision, and persistence, noting that her example could inspire others to follow similar paths. Despite all the attention, Adiz remained humble. Her joy came from seeing the children learn, laugh, and help each other. She understood that real success was measured not in fame, but in the positive difference one made in the lives of others. Through her leadership, the children not only gained knowledge but also developed compassion, patience, and teamwork. Adiz had created an environment where learning was fun, meaningful, and deeply connected to community values. Every evening, as the golden sun set over the neighborhood, Adiz would watch the children reading, sharing, and playing. She knew that her dedication and kind heart had planted seeds of hope, learning, and unity that would continue to grow for generations to come. As the months went by, Adiz's neighborhood transformed into a place of inspiration and learning. Children who had once been shy and hesitant were now confident, curious, and eager to explore new ideas. The small library had grown into a lively center where children could read, draw, and share their thoughts freely. Adiz continued to guide them, teaching not only academic lessons but also important life skills. She encouraged honesty, patience, and empathy, showing the children that true success came from helping others and working together. The neighborhood was no longer just a place to live. It had become a community where everyone cared for one another. Parents and elders took notice of the positive changes. Many joined Adiz in her efforts, volunteering time, sharing knowledge, and helping maintain the library. Families began teaching their children at home, emphasizing the importance of education and kindness. The sense of unity and cooperation spread throughout the neighborhood. Visitors from nearby towns heard about the changes and came to see for themselves. They were amazed that a single young girl had inspired an entire community to work together for the children's education. Teachers and leaders praised Adiz, saying that her dedication and courage were lessons for everyone. Despite the praise, Adiz remained humble. Her happiness came from seeing children laugh, learn, and grow together. She often reminded them that the most valuable treasures in life were kindness, courage, and the willingness to help others. Evenings were filled with the sound of children reading, sharing stories, and playing together. Adiz would sit outside her home, watching the neighborhood glow with energy, hope, and laughter. She knew that her small acts of compassion had created a lasting impact that would continue to inspire generations. Through her determination and love, Adiz taught her neighborhood, and everyone who heard her story, that one person, even a young girl, can create extraordinary change with courage, patience, and a kind heart. As Adiz continued her work, the children of the neighborhood grew not only in knowledge but also in character. They became more responsible, caring, and willing to help one another. The small library had become a safe haven where learning, creativity, and friendship thrived together. Adiz organized reading circles, storytelling sessions, and art activities. Each activity taught the children something new, from reading skills to the value of teamwork and compassion. They learned that education was not only about memorizing lessons, but also about understanding the world and helping others. Parents were amazed at the transformation. Children who had once been shy, quiet, and reluctant to attend school were now confident, enthusiastic, and eager to share their learning with family and friends. Inspired by Adiz's dedication, many adults began volunteering to teach, read, or guide the children. The sense of community grew stronger every day. The story of Adiz and her library spread beyond the neighborhood. Teachers, local leaders, and visitors came to see the thriving environment she had created. They were inspired by how a young girl's courage, kindness, and determination could unite an entire community. Many promised to bring similar ideas to their towns. Adiz, however, remained humble. Her joy came from seeing the children learn and grow, from hearing their laughter, and from knowing that she had made a difference. She often reminded them that the greatest treasures in life were not material things, but values like honesty, patience, kindness, and courage. Evenings in the neighborhood were filled with the sound of reading, laughter, and stories being shared. Adiz would watch the children studying and playing, feeling proud of the community that had grown around her efforts. Through her actions, Adiz taught everyone that one person's determination and compassion could inspire a whole neighborhood, creating a legacy of hope, learning, and unity that would last for generations. As the neighborhood continued to flourish, Adiz noticed that the children were becoming leaders in their own ways. They started helping younger children, sharing books, and teaching lessons they had learned from her. The library had grown beyond just a place to read. It had become a hub of learning, mentorship, and friendship. Adiz encouraged the children to take initiative and responsibility. She taught them that small acts of kindness, like helping a friend with homework or sharing a book, could make a big difference. The children began applying these lessons in their daily lives, not just in the library, but at home, school, and in the streets of the neighborhood. The parents were impressed by the growth of their children. They saw how their kids had gained confidence, compassion, and a sense of teamwork. Many adults began volunteering to help maintain the library, organize learning activities, and support Adiz's vision. The neighborhood was no longer just a group of houses. It had become a connected, caring community. News of Adiz's achievements reached nearby towns and schools. Visitors came to witness the thriving library and the children's excitement for learning. Teachers and community leaders were amazed that one young girl had inspired an entire neighborhood to come together, highlighting the power of courage, determination, and kindness. Despite the attention, Adiz remained humble. She found joy not in praise or recognition, but in seeing the children read, play, and grow together. Every day, she reminded them that education, honesty, and helping others were the true treasures in life. In the evenings, the streets were alive with laughter, learning, and collaboration. Adiz would sit outside her home, watching the children study, share, and inspire each other. She knew that her small acts of determination and compassion had created a lasting impact on her community, teaching everyone that one person's heart and courage could change many lives. As time went on, Adiz saw the lasting impact of her efforts in the neighborhood. The children were thriving, full of curiosity and confidence. They were not only learning from books, but also from one another, sharing knowledge, helping friends, and inspiring younger children to dream big. The library had become a vibrant place, filled with laughter, creativity, and learning. Children would gather to read stories, draw pictures, and discuss their ideas. Adiz encouraged them to explore their imagination and think critically, teaching lessons about honesty, patience, and helping others. Parents and elders in the neighborhood were amazed at the transformation. Children who had once been timid and hesitant were now leaders among their peers, guiding and supporting each other. Adults joined Adiz in volunteering for library activities, teaching life skills, and creating a strong sense of community. Stories of Adiz's dedication began spreading to neighboring communities. Teachers, local leaders, and visitors came to see the thriving environment she had created. They were inspired that one young girl's courage, vision, and kindness could unite an entire neighborhood, creating a model for others to follow. Adiz, however, remained humble. Her happiness came from seeing children learn and play, from hearing their laughter, and from knowing that she had made a meaningful difference. She reminded the children daily that true wealth is found in education, kindness, and helping others. Evenings in the neighborhood were filled with joy. The streets echoed with the sounds of children sharing stories, reading books, and working together on projects. Adiz would sit quietly, watching the children grow into confident, compassionate young people. Through her perseverance, empathy, and leadership, Adiz had shown that even one person with a kind heart and determined spirit could transform an entire community, leaving a legacy of learning, hope, and unity for generations to come. By the time Adiz had become a young teenager, the neighborhood had completely transformed. The small library she had inspired had grown into a hub of learning, creativity, and community spirit. Children were no longer shy or hesitant. They were confident, curious, and eager to help one another. Adiz continued to guide them, teaching not only academic lessons but also values like honesty, patience, courage, and compassion. She encouraged the children to dream big, reminding them that even small acts of kindness could make a huge difference in the world. Parents and neighbors were amazed at the transformation. They saw how children were thriving, learning new skills, and supporting each other. Many adults joined Adiz in volunteering, teaching practical life skills, reading stories, and helping maintain the library. The neighborhood had become a connected, caring community where everyone worked together for a brighter future. Visitors from nearby towns came to see the library and the children's progress. They were inspired by Adiz's dedication and the impact of her actions. Teachers and community leaders praised her as a model of courage, leadership, and kindness. Her story became an example of how one person, regardless of age or resources, could inspire and unite an entire community. Despite all the recognition, Adiz remained humble. Her joy came from seeing the children learn, laugh, and grow together. She often reminded them that the most valuable treasures in life were not money or material things, but education, kindness, and the willingness to help others. Evenings in the neighborhood were filled with laughter, reading, and collaboration. Adiz would sit outside her small home, watching the children interact, play, and learn. She knew that her small acts of determination and compassion had created a lasting legacy, a community bound by love, learning, and hope that would inspire generations for years to come. Through her courage, patience, and kind heart, Adiz proved that one person's actions, no matter how small, could change the world around them.